In this tutorial, we will try to make a flap from scratch, which approximates the shape of the dust flap, which you can import from the DisplayGenie library. So I'll just attach a new flap, at line, add basic flap, and select it. And you'll notice that the flap has two machine step components. The first is the red line, which is the border, and the second is the fold line, which is the dotted green line. So if I select a point here, then it tells me that I've selected point 2 of the border. The arrow points to the next point in that machine step. So selecting here, I get point 3 as the border, and the arrow points to point 4. If I select here, I've actually selected point 2 of the fold line. If I want point 4 of the border, because those points are sitting on top of each other, I'll have to click until I get the correct point as shown at the bottom right of the screen. So point 4 of the border, and the arrow is pointing to point 1 of the border. Now, this is an open machine step. If I close the machine step, open, close, and machine step, open, close. Now, I think I've done it, but I'm not sure. First, we have to hide the fold line, hide machine step. Now, perhaps I can get it to work now. Now I don't have 2 points there that I can see, so I get point 4 of the border every time. Close, yes, finally. So now if I click anywhere and say unhide machine steps, then I'll get the fold line back again, and it happens that that's on top of the border as it's drawn. Now, if I click on here again, point 2 of the fold line, try it again, point 2 of the fold line, you'll notice there's a plus here. That means that there's more than one point being potentially selected here. So when I click here, then there's no plus, there's only 1 point, which is a candidate for selection. Also, I can select by clicking near a line, and in this case, I'm certain to get point 3 of the border. So there's no competition. Here I'll always get the fold line. So the other little trick is that if I selected point 2 of the fold line, because it's only got 2 points, the arrow will point back to point 1 of the fold line. So now let me just convert this back to open, because first I'll unhide. Sorry, no, we're going to hide the machine step again. Hide the fold, and so I can see this properly, and then I'll just open that again, and then I'll put the fold back. Unhide sections. Sorry, that was unhide machine steps, I mean. Okay, so now we'll get to actual business here. So I want to make something looking like this custom shape. So I just grab hold of this point and say G for drag. And if I hold Shift, as I've previously mentioned, you can constrain it to the same vertical line as it was before. Grab this point and drag it here. Now this one's somewhat in the middle of space, so to actually get a known location for it, there's various ways to do that. One is to look over here, which shows the X and Y coordinates of that point. Now the X and Y coordinates are in local section local coordinates, which in the case of this flap, the coordinates are Cartesian, but they're rotated so that the baseline of the flap, which is similar, which is identical to the fold in this case, is the x-axis, and hence the y-axis is in that direction. So if you look, let's just change the coordinate display down here into local mode, which I do by clicking on the world icon or globe icon to turn it off. Now, if I sit on this point, you'll see that the coordinates is about 0, 0. Here, the coordinate is a large X number, about 200, and Y is 0. And here, the coordinates is about X equals 0 and Y is 100 and something. Okay, so you've got to rotate your head a little to see the Cartesian coordinates rotated through 90 degrees. So therefore, when I select this point here, you'll notice that it's 4.6x and 15.3y. So that's basically that distance and that distance. Now, I can get that to an exact position by various means. Either I can type it in here, I can drag the point and then use the period to go into numeric entry mode, or I can go into grid snap mode and drag it and it will snap to a grid point. So as you notice, it's now at 515, so it's gone to an exact number. So continuing on with this, we want to point up near the top there. So we just drag this one over. Sorry, we've got the wrong one. That's the fold line. Okay, so border drag point. Now, so we put that, say, here, and now we've run out of points to steal, so we'll make another one. So we go right click and A for add, and put a point here. And now we could continue to add points manually on the other side of this. The only problem is that you're going to have to do a lot of measuring, so it's easier. I just press escape to get out of there, and I'll choose the mirror complete machine step function, and it does all work for us. Now there's one little trick. We want to actually make this line a curve, and so I go that line, curve line. Now it's easy just to make it tangent to previous, and similarly with this one, I'll make it tangent to next, so I get symmetry. So at line, curve line, and full stop, tangent to next. Okay, so there we have our very own flap, which looks rather like the dust flap.